up, everyone? Welcome to DudesWatch the Bachelor. This is a recap of Season 21, Episode 3 of ABC's The Bachelor, Nick Viall edition. Apparently I was mispronouncing that before. Sorry, Nick. DudesWatch is a premiere show where dudes recap traditionally non-dude shows. This voice talking to you is from Reed Stiles. And unfortunately, I don't have a co-host this week. Kind of sad, but I was supposed to have Dave Neal. Did not work out schedule-wise. And I want to get this episode out to you. So I would love to hear your feedback on the show. Reach out to me on Instagram at DudesWatch, SoundCloud at DudesWatch, and probably the most important way would just be if you could leave a 5-star review on iTunes. It'd be great. This episode is actually being recorded video and audio. So if you're more of a YouTuber, if you like to look at video, then check out my YouTube channel. That's at DudesWatch, all one word. So it's going to be posted. I don't know if this is the preferred media of my listeners or other people, but I do have another project that is a YouTube channel. So I'm very familiar with recording video, and actually in some respects kind of easier than just doing audio. So today I'd like to kick things off with an ode to everyone's favorite bachelor wedding. Yeah, that's right. The wedding that no one will stop talking about. Here it is.
None of the girls know that I've met Nick before.
I met him at Jade Tanner's wedding. When Nick and I met at Jade Tanner's wedding.
So you know Jade? Jade Tanner? I was her maid of honor. She's one of my best friends. And so I met Nick at her wedding.
Jade Tanner's wedding.
At Jade Tanner's wedding.
Did you tell me that you guys hooked up and had sex the night of Jade Tanner's wedding?
Because when I met Liz at Jade Tanner's wedding, so yeah, I met Liz at a wedding. I met her at Jade Tanner's wedding. And Liz and I had sex that night.
All right, so if anyone had any questions about where Liz and Nick met, they have been answered over and over. Actually, this episode was supposed to be the one we were all waiting for, right? This was supposed to be a mass exodus of all the girls who were mad at Nick because he's such a scumbag, and he did like a one-night stand with Liz, and then she was on the show, and he was hiding it from them. That was what was going to happen, right? No, of course not. No, everyone already knows what Nick's like. Look, he's hooked up with several of these girls on TV, and it hasn't worked out. And he's a very physical person, and people say it over and over and over. So, of course, there was very little payback on all that hype. But basically, we got to see probably 3 to 5 of the girls really made impacts on this episode, and 3 definitely jumped further in probably everyone's mind than they had previously. So I'm going to touch on them really quickly, or at least in my mind, who jumped out, and then we'll talk about the dates, because I thought the dates were pretty cool too. First is Raven. I'm starting to like her more and more. I seriously thought she was doomed by her intro, where she said, family, faith, and football. But I think she's going to make it to the top 10 now. Like, I was completely wrong before, and I'm one of those people, if I'm wrong, I change. Like, it's not that big a deal. I didn't know before, and now I know. But it makes me sad that the producers made her play up her accent in the episodes, and she kind of reminded me now, looking back on it, like Luke Pell from JoJo's season. They really made him play up the wearing cowboy boots, standing next to a barn look. So it caused me personally to knock her down a few notches she's just, her bod was insane. The pool party raised her stock tremendously for me. She seems, very honest, well-spoken, and pretty cool. So I don't think she's going to win, but I think she's making it she's going to be on for a lot more weeks for sure. And next let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is Corinne. Sleepy Corinne, as I've been calling her. The big takeaway from this episode was her reliance on her nanny. And actually, people would not stop talking about that on social media. I saw it everywhere. So here's a clip of Corinne talking about how much she misses her nanny.
I miss Raquel so much. I've had to do some big girl stuff. I don't like it.
She does everything. Raquel will wake me up in the morning. She'll make me coffee, make me breakfast. She'll make my bed.
I wish he was here.
After that, look, if Corinne has a nanny, if I had a nanny, I'm sure I would use them accordingly. So I'm just a really independent person, so it's hard for me to relate. But if I was Nick, I would say keep Corinne on as long as it makes sense, because she's really entertaining and really fun. And I mean, she's really attractive. So hey, at the end of the day, as long as Nick doesn't make anyone too mad by leaving her on, it's going to be way more fun if she stays there. But I mean, she's not the one for Nick. And if I was Nick, I would personally not give in to Corinne, and I would slow it down, because he may actually make someone mad or turn someone off. But I talked with Jason, the co-host from last season, about Corinne. He actually had 2 questions for me. The first was about Corinne. His theory is that Corinne is a made-up character for the show, and he just wondered if I had thought of that. Basically her whole purpose is to be on the show and make Nick look likable, because he can slow down her advances and he doesn't look like a total horn dog. But after watching the bouncy castle, which they basically set up for her, and they let her sleep through a rose ceremony and a lot of this other stuff, I mean, I do understand where he's coming from, that a lot of this stuff is super staged and unrealistic. I don't know if she's completely fake. Like, I genuinely think she lives in Florida, works for her dad, and has a nanny. Like, I don't think that stuff's fake. But I definitely think that she's, heavily drinking. Like, half the time her speech is slurred. And I do think she thinks she's a princess and all that other stuff. So I just hope she stays around for comedic relief or for entertainment value. Third person I want to, so we talked about Raven, we talked about Corinne, I want to talk about Vanessa now, because she just seems so smart and so reasonable. Like, she doesn't even seem like she should be on the show. It's insane. Vanessa might be Nick's perfect girl, though, and I'll break it down why. First, she's age 29, so she's younger, but she's definitely more mature, definitely closer to his 36. She's Canadian. Nick seemingly has a strong tie to Canadians. I mean, he had Caitlyn last season, and then he told another Canadian on this season's show that he's big into Canadians. So he's explicitly said it, and then his actions have shown it. She's just a beautiful brunette. That, on top of it all, I think that should be number one reason, honestly. She fits the build of what Nick is always looking for, or seems to be matched up with. And also, she's smarter than Nick, seemingly. I mean, she called Nick out, and she said, "I'm not judging Corinne's actions. I'm judging your actions, Nick." I mean, she put him on blast. It was really funny. So I can appreciate someone that's going to challenge Nick a lot, because, I mean, let's be honest. He's a smooth operator, and he plays games, and I do think he's a real dude. But, I mean, is he out of his hooking up phase? I don't know. Time will tell. This leads into Stengel's second question, Jason's second question. His question was around Dominique. Is it better to go home the first night or go down in a fiery inferno 3 weeks in like Dominique, or Haley would also fit this build? These are girls that are overlooked during their dates. Like, they don't make a strong first impression. They're maybe not as outgoing, or if they're outgoing, it just doesn't work on The Bachelor or Bachelorette. I mean, I would say that if I'm going to do this experience, I want to stay on it as long as possible. I don't want to look bad after it's all over with. I don't think Dominique necessarily looked bad. I think she was just trying to get answers and was really frustrated by the process. So at the end of the day, like, there are 30 girls there. Nick's only going to make a strong connection with like maybe 5 or 6 of them. So I could see where it's frustrating. But yeah, I would want to stay on as long as possible. I wouldn't want to go all the way there just to get eliminated the first night. So let's move on to the dates. So it's like a Quentin Tarantino movie here. You kind of already know what happened, but let's find out the process. So we had the Backstreet Boys date. Taylor, Jasmine, and Danielle L were standouts for me, specifically Danielle L. I mean, who could blame that? Who could argue that she's top 3 at this point? I mean, she crushed it. And my question for Dave Neal, had he been able to make this podcast, was, who is your favorite Backstreet Boy, and why? My question is, has it changed over time? Because I watched the Backstreet Boys Show 'Em What You're Made Of 2015 documentary, and it just showed that the guys are a little rough around the edges. They're definitely not ultra preppy dudes like I thought they were. And they had a lot of drama around Brian's voice, because it sounds terrible now. And it's been this huge point of tension because, Brian and Nick were kind of the front the front runners or the lead singers of the group. I mean, they were probably the most famous as far as just their look, and they always had leads and all that stuff. And maybe just really reconsider, who my favorite was. I think I kind of liked Brian, but I definitely related to Nick the most. I looked the most like him. He was taller and blonde, so I think that was why I picked him. But really, I wasn't a Backstreet Boys guy. I was all about NSYNC, LFO, 98 Degrees, and Hanson, if we're talking boy bands. So those were the four. Backstreet Boys, what was it, O Street? I mean, some of those others I didn't know as well. But yeah, definitely NSYNC was my favorite. So, we've got this Backstreet Boys date, and Danielle crushed it. She got the one-on-one time with Nick, where she got to make out with everyone in the crowd. And actually, if you watch the crowd, there's a few cameos. Ashley I was in the audience. It's kind of tough to see her, but she had a kind of like a side shot. And Danielle crushed it. When she moved on to the group date after the Backstreet Boys, she had this long makeout scene with Nick where he went for the kill. He basically did the booty bongo drum move. I don't really blame him. I don't know if that's his signature move, but she got the group date rose in the end. So I'm happy for Danielle L. She's been number 2 in my books all for 3 weeks now. Next, we'll move on to the 0G date with Vanessa. I mean, I've already talked about her. She's amazing. But the big takeaway was that Nick cried during this episode. So I don't know if we've ever had a Bachelor crying 3 weeks in. I remember Ben cried during Kayla's exit last season. He might have cried during one of the twins, and then he definitely cried during JoJo. So good for Nick for breaking the seal 3 weeks in. And I gotta agree with Nick. Even if Vanessa threw up, assuming she could find some mouthwash or something, I'm still gonna kiss her. She was awesome on the date. She's an awesome person. That would not deter me. And there are a few caveats, obviously. But yeah, Nick's gonna be going for his second Canadian, I'm afraid. I think this is smooth sailing from here. Yeah, next date was a group date. It was 3 gold medalists from the USA. We had Carl Lewis, University of Houston's coach now, Allison Felix, and Michelle Carter, shot putter. Yeah, was there a product they were pumping? I completely missed that. If so, it seemed just like a cool opportunity to be on TV, and I thought the date was pretty funny. I always like the athletic competitions. My takeaways were Sarah's a babe. I like her a lot. I don't think she's top 5 material, but I like her a lot. She's a babe. And then Astrid just crushed it. I mean, everyone's talking about on social media Astrid's boobs popping out or something. I wasn't really a concern for me. I could see where it was just an oversight, and this is what happened. It made sense. She crushed the date, and I thought she won Nick over. So she's been top 5 for me and continues to be. We had a few other standouts. Alexis was super athletic. Rachel had a good line. She said, I would love to track and field Nick. So I thought that was funny. And then, of course, if you follow ESPN's fantasy, they had the question, is there a hot tub this week on The Bachelor? And yeah, definitely. It's a safe bet to bet there will be. The power play was Astrid stealing the ring off the ground. The tortoise can beat the hare kind of thing. And then she just ran and jumped in the hot tub. So nice move, Astrid. She's definitely coming to her own. She's going to continue to be top 5 for me. This week we lost Liz, R.I.P. Liz. Elizabeth, I didn't really know her. Lacey, and then Haley had a teary-eyed exit, and then Dominique, of course, confronting Nick that she didn't get any time with him. Not really sad about any of those, wasn't shocked. And let's talk more importantly about my final rankings for this week 3. I've got Vanessa number 1, 3rd week in a row. Danielle L, number 2, 3rd week in a row. Now I've got Astrid number 3. She jumped up from 5. Number 4 is Whitney, the Pilates instructor. She had some moments. She had some talking head moments. She's beautiful. I think she's just slow playing it. She hasn't had the one-on-one time yet, but she's great. Then I have Rachel 5, back from tier 2 last week. She got a lot of FaceTime. She's crushing it. And then Brittany and Raven, new entries into the equation as far as tier 2. Last week I had Raven low. She jumped way up. Brittany I had in top tier. Now she's middle tier. So I don't think they're out of the mix. I just think they've kind of lost some face as compared to where they were in the previous weeks. So hopefully you like this discussion. Hopefully you like my rankings. My rankings are on Google, their Google Sheet. The link is, if you just click on the picture of the episode in iTunes, it'll show the show notes, and you can actually just click the link. If you're on SoundCloud, you can just click the link in the show notes. But check it out. Let me know what you think of the methodology and where I'm going with it. Thank you for listening to Dudes Watch the Bachelor. I'm sad I didn't have a co-host this week, but it will come soon enough. But I'll keep touching on it as a monologue form in the meantime if I can't find anyone. Hopefully you enjoy the audio, and if possible, I'm going to start posting this video. Even it has been recorded, so hopefully it'll start get posted on YouTube. That's at DudesWatch. So if you like watching video, there you go. I read the SoundCloud comments, or at least get the notifications on my phone. So I would love to hear. I have 3 questions this week. One is, who's your favorite Backstreet Boy and why? Second is Corinne a plant? Like, is she just a completely made up character? And then third is, do you think Vanessa's a shoo-in to win this whole thing? And so love the interaction and hope to hear from everyone soon.